All I've got to say to begin this is just wow. Wow, is that worth the week off? And holy shit, even from word one today, Amber Heard was just up there just lying her fucking non-existent ass off. Like Chairman Mao, she was dressed up like today, and she was just dictating to the world her side of this very believable, 100% truthful and factful story, because according to her, later in her testimony, she is the most truthful and honest person to literally ever live, according to Amber Heard. Of course, none of that can be verified by any outside sources, but yes, no, of course, she is the most truthful person to have ever lived. She is practically a fucking saint at this point, and oh my god. And I know, Cross has started today. They fucking blundered. They should have continued this meandering, non-landing direct examination at least through the rest of the day, okay? There's going to be about 2.5, maybe 3 hours worth of Cross, and as at the time of recording right now, everybody's just getting back into the boxes and they're getting ready to start everything. But I don't want anybody to forget how catastrophic and how terrible the end of this direct examination was. It was so fucking bad. And I feel like, Merch, it's going to just end up being overshadowed by the fact that Cross is starting today, and maybe they pulled an audible on this. Like, that, the way that it should have gone is they should have just continued this out, okay? Because in a perfect world, the jury and everybody in the gallery and the media at large would have been left hanging just before the recess. They would have been left hanging on the words of Amber Heard, okay, right after the Australia incident, okay, after she was violated by a Maker's Mark bottle. Don't think about it too much. But all of those terrible things that was all leading up to a divorce, and everything was just going to crescendo from there, and then they'd be able to go into the horrifying after effects after she, according to the Washington Post article, which she had nothing to do with, even though everything was great all the way up until that article was published, and then everything started to fall downhill for Johnny, and her career continued on and unimpeded after that. But anyways, no, we'll get to that. But oh my god, dude, the jury should have been in the palm of her hand, but according to some people that are in the courtroom that I've been listening to, I've been watching the Nick Rekieta stream during the day, and he had a couple of people, well, he had one person on that was actually in the courtroom, and Amber Heard's testimony, according to the lawyers looking at the jury box, it might be landing intermittently with 2 people left in the jury. Nobody believes her shit. And I was watching her eyes after they came back after lunch. She couldn't find anybody to listen to her fucking droning on nonsensical testimony that she even had to look over at Johnny, whose head, every time that the camera pans over to look at Johnny, he's got his head down, he's writing on his pad, he's not paying attention to this, he's not emoting to this, he's not reacting to it at all, because it's so preposterous, okay? I don't know, I've laid the foundation for this stuff, and you guys already know my opinion on this. It's just such a fantastical recitation of these non-events. We could go into her body language, Amber Heard's body language, like she's hunching up, okay? She's hunching up like, oh, I'm this battered wife. But then whenever anything doesn't go completely to her idealized interpretation of events, her brows furrow, her teeth flash for a microsecond. Her micro expressions are buck wild. And she emotes like a 5-year-old. Until she remembers that, oh god, right, I'm an actress and everybody needs to believe my story, and oh, it was so terrible all the time. Johnny smashed up the place with a Magnum champagne bottle, and yet the pictures that I took and spent the better part of the morning describing showed no champagne anywhere, and all the damage that was there didn't really correlate with any broken bottles. And again, if all of this glass was everywhere and you had a whole bunch of people also in the house as well, you've testified earlier to less glass being on the ground, you stepping on it and then maybe going off and dancing in preparation for a role the next day, but whatever. You want to talk about that, but then there's no, her evidence doesn't line up. So let's get into this. Okay, first and foremost, one of the big claims of the day, one of the final things that she said before direct examination is over, and that's all we're going to be talking about. I'm not going to be talking about Cross. I'm going to enjoy that after I'm done recording for the day. But Amber Heard admits to not honoring her promised $3.5 million donation to ACLU, and then also $3.5 million to the Children's Hospital as well, with money from Johnny Depp divorce, despite previously saying she had donated $7 million. Oh yeah, no, she's the most truthful person in the world until somebody brings her counter evidence to the fact, and it's like, well, that's just not the reality that I live in. It's going to be buck wild. I'd imagine it's going to be all of tomorrow. All of tomorrow is going to be the Cross, okay? Unless she just absolutely fucking freaks out, then I'm going to have to do a fourth video on today. But whatever, regardless. This one's going to be a big guy. I just had so much to say listening to all this nonsense. Amber Heard has finally admitted to failing to pay her pledge of $3.5 million donation to the ACLU after claiming to have made her contribution. Yeah, okay, she said that, oh, because Johnny sued me in 2019, I couldn't afford. He sued me for $50 million. I can no longer afford it. So why didn't you fulfill your pledge for 2017, 2018, and then even 2019 earlier in the year? Why didn't you do any of that? Oh, wait, no, that's inconvenient facts, and that's definitely going to get brought up on Cross. And then again, why didn't you pay any of the money to the Children's Hospital? Okay, why didn't you do any of that? Well, I made pledges to affiliate groups to the hospital that didn't count towards my pledge, but I definitely did it, and you can't fact check that. Unbelievable. Testifying on the stand Monday, Heard said that Depp was suing her and that kept her from fulfilling her pledge to donate the entire $7 million divorce settlement. Right, which was also thrust upon her because she's also somebody who doesn't want to be a victim, but then at the same time, she always just finds herself being the passenger in the car of life where I wasn't asking for any money that was out there, and that the only reason that I got money from the divorce is because if I didn't ask for any money, it just could be overturned. Who was asking for it to be overturned? Okay, and then again, if you just wanted a nominal amount in order to make it an unoverturnable decision, you could have just asked for $1. There's been a lot of documented cases where divorces are just settled over something is completely and totally insignificant just to fulfill that requirement, okay? Just to check off a box, something that your forensic psychologist couldn't complete a form. But you know what? Hey, it's just congruent with what we're going to be expecting from her side of the case. Anyways, however, Heard claimed several times, including under oath in 2020 libel case with Depp in the UK, that she donated the entire settlement to charity. Oh, okay, cool. So that's going to get brought up if it hasn't already been brought up already. Heard appeared on Dutch talk show RTL Late Night in 2018, where she said $7 million in total was donated. Oh, right. Yeah, but this was all planned out, right? Because she also elaborated on this as well. The way that you do this stuff is so that it's a tax write-off. Remember, she didn't want any of this money, and it just, once again, wasn't congruent with her testimony. I didn't want any of this money, but the way that you do it is in order to have a tax write-off, but you don't care about the money, right? Anyways, and donated the entire amount to charity, said that $7 million, and then, I split it between the ACLU and the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. I wanted nothing. That's why you're currently sitting on the money, or where is it exactly? Who knows? It can't be accounted for, and still hasn't been accounted for. In court today, Heard said that she has yet to make the full donation because Johnny sued me for $50 million in March of 2019. Heard said, I fully intend to honor all of my pledges. Again, that's just an unverifiable claim. I could say I intend to go shoot hoops after I'm done filming and editing and doing all my gimmicks here today, but it's like, well, something came up. It's so baffling. I would love for him to just stop suing me so I can. Yeah, and the last thing on direct examination that the jury was left with, I just want him to leave me alone, and then sulks back in her chair like a fucking 5-year-old. That's all that came across, okay? Whenever I'm going to editorialize a little bit. Whenever she'd have these weird emotional outbursts that were just unplaced, and she didn't cry a single fucking tear again today, even with a little help of her Kleenex, which a lot of people have also speculated that maybe she's taken a little bump or something like that. But it's weird, right? On the first full day of testimony, not the little truncated day where they had the first half of the day for laying foundation, I went back and over the course of the week, I watched a whole bunch of the testimony. And then last night I watched a massive chunk of the direct testimony. I didn't get through all of it, time permitted. There was a lot of stuff to watch. But when she first puts up her handkerchief when she's trying to cry and have her emotional outburst, on that Thursday before the break, okay? It's very, very obvious. She inhales in her handkerchief. She inhales, okay? Don't know if she's inhaling anything specifically, can't make any accusations to that. But from what I can see, from what I can tell, she inhales. And then that's the only time that you see a visible tear. And then this morning, a couple of times when she had these weird outbursts, okay, outside of the fact that her micro expressions were that of anger and not of any sort of sorrow or reliving a traumatic event. It was very furrowed brows that were down, just micro flashes of teeth, and then just downturn of the mouth. And the way that she was describing the situations, it was obviously like she was observing what was going on. Okay, like there was one instance where, oh, Johnny, he just punched me and I flew into this antique church furniture. I'm sure we're going to get into that, but it's like, okay, cool. You're describing it, okay, like somebody's observing it, like a movie would capture it, a third-person account of events. And then again, oh yeah, things were just flying past my head, okay, and that they were smashing on the back, and it went through a canvas on the wall that I really liked, and it was a great piece of art that was there, and it was destroyed by Johnny's monster in his rage. Again, if you're in a very traumatic, hectic situation, something flying by your head, yeah, it flew by my head and it smashed. Just go and look at some of Johnny's testimony where he's saying, especially at the same time when he got his digit fucking removed, he's talking about bottles flying by his head and it smashed behind me. He doesn't get into any details because he's reliving the traumatic situation, okay? I'm not trying to ascribe truth or honesty to anybody's testimony because I wasn't there. I don't have any evidence, but come on. There's such a marked difference between these two parties. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life, and I've been around some crazy motherfuckers with similar characteristics to Amber Heard. I can just leave it at that, but nothing like this. This is amazing. Amazing. Terrence Doherty, ACLU Chief Operating Officer and General Counsel, testified earlier in the case and said that so far only a total of $1.3 million has either been paid by Heard or on her behalf. Yeah, $100,000 by DAP. Okay, and then $500,000 by Elon Musk. So, of that money, Heard contributed $350,000 directly in December of 2018. Yeah, but anything before that, though? What about that? Yeah, nothing. Said she has not paid any money since. Oh, okay. $100,000 was paid by DAP. Oh, that was supposed to be for me on my behalf. And $300,000 came from a fund at Fidelity, an investment company. Yeah, that is also supposed to be at the same time. It's attributed to Elon Musk. And then on top of that, $500,000. Yes, another $500,000 payment came from an account at investment firm Vanguard, which Doherty said he believed to be a fund set up by Elon Musk. And then she confirmed that today in testimony. Heard's lawyer, Elaine Bredehoft, who looked really terrible in a tete-a-tete exchange with Camille Vasquez. There's a lot of clips out there where they were just going back and forth on hearsay objections and foundation leading objections as well. And Elaine couldn't get a question out because she's really, really, really bad at her job. And she was getting snippy. And it didn't look good for anybody. And it really looks like Amber's judging me in this picture, which is, I feel threatened for my life. Anyways, Heard said I didn't care about the money. Lies. I was told if I didn't agree to a number, it would be overturned. That is bananas, okay? We would never settle. It took far less than what we were offering and what I was entitled to, right? Yeah, I didn't care about the money, but it was less than what I was entitled to. Weird thing to throw in there at the end, but she is like a serial narcissist. Heard said she donated the money to charity because she was never interested in Johnny's money. That's why you had all of your friends and family members, and you lovingly recanted all of the gifts that Johnny would give them, and then also, you know, hey, set your friends up in lavish accommodations literally everywhere, and then also demanded in the divorce settlement that he maintain your lifestyle. What are we doing here? She said, I just wanted my safety and my future, and he compromised that. I wanted him to leave me alone. I've just been saying that since 2016. That's why you went on to write an op-ed, because you just wanted him to be, you just wanted him to leave you alone, right? Of course. You weren't butthurt by the fact that, Johnny was continuing to succeed in Hollywood, and that you're, well, honestly, fake, or at least elaborated trauma to such an extent didn't work. That campaign was unsuccessful, and that you figured the final nail in the coffin would be an ACLU sponsored piece put in the Washington Post. But yeah, no, you just wanted everybody to go away and just leave me alone, even though you constantly strive for attention at every single turn. But whatever, again, she said he wanted me to drop the charges or some version of that. There was no charges that was there, okay? And again, that's not exactly a sign of somebody who wants to continue to be in your life, right? Whatever. Get back together with him, go on tour with him in his tour bus. Certain things were impossible, and go against all of everything I stood for in getting my restraining order. Even though there's multiple people testifying, which again, they're all liars. You've got to believe Amber Heard. It was an orchestrated event. Everybody who has testified previously is loyal to Johnny Depp, and only I'm the truth sayer. Whew. Again, she went on to discredit the notes of her fucking nurse. She was lying in her notes. Some of the notes. I like to use some of them, but then she was lying in other ones. Sorry, what? I was feeling like, merch, I couldn't live my life. People were turning on me. I've never been inundated with so much press. Every witness who indirectly supported me got bombarded. Really? Can you catalog or quantify any of that stuff? Asked what was important about her divorce. Heard said it was a statement that they put out. She said that she wanted to get the press to stop her and her family being harassed. Again, quantify any of that. Depp's accountant and business manager Edward White testified earlier in the trial and told the court that Heard initially demanded $4 million after the divorce in 2016 in May of 2016. No, exactly. She didn't want any kind of financial settlements at all. It's definitely not. You gotta believe me. The only things I say are true. Then the demand continually increased to $5 million and went up to $5.5 million. White said, who, according to Heard, right, even though it's like pretty much established at this point, this was the guy who was doing all the settlement work. Get a load of this one. According to White, the total consideration paid to Heard by Depp was $14.25 million, and everything had to be tax-free. But yeah, no, she didn't want any of the money that was there, and she's never met Ed White before. No, never, not in my life. The only time that I've ever seen him before was in trial. Okay. Among her demands were the exclusive use and possession of a black Range Rover she drove, with Depp continuing to make payments towards the vehicle. Yeah, exactly. She also wanted to carry on living rent-free in everybody's heads, unfortunately. Until, of course, she met Elon Musk at the Met Gala, where Johnny Depp stood her up. After, Johnny made it clear that there was a divorce and he's leaving. Okay, this was the story that Depp told, sorry. Conflating a couple of stories by calling her turd. No, it said specifically, I'm leaving, I'm putting you on the bed, and she'd get up and then try to hit me again, and hit me a couple of times. And then I grabbed her by the shoulders and put her on the bed, the poop-free side bed, and I said, we're done, I'm leaving, don't follow me. But no, she was still under the illusion that they were going to get together and go to a Met Gala. Like, what the fuck? This was just a couple of weeks later. Are you high? No, she doesn't believe in any drugs or anything like that, right? Heard told the court, that on May 2nd, literally 2 weeks later, May 2016, that she and Depp were invited to the Met Gala by designer Ralph Lauren. She wanted to say Depp was a no-go, ended up meeting Elon Musk on the red carpet. I'm just going to summarize this stuff. It really doesn't much matter. It's inconsequential because Elon Musk isn't going to be testifying, and she ended up publicly, and it's not disputed, she ended up shacking up with him for a little under a year. And then there were some weird photographs that were also taken that he had a redness on his face, and she looked awfully happy about the situation. So I figured maybe Elon's a little bit smarter than Johnny, and then got out of that situation a little bit quickly. But yeah, no, that's what she was wearing at the time, and that's Elon from this year, which is kind of funny because that's also what Amber Heard was wearing on Tuesday, just before the break. Anyways, yeah, and right before lunch, she showed this thing. Right? It's called a bruise kit. She called it a bruise kit. Fucking weird, right? But she explained her makeup treatment where whenever she'd get one of these numerous bruises on her face, Okay, sure. She was using this makeup wheel, and she always has this makeup routine because she has really fair skin and stuff. She'd put on her foundation, her arnica cream, right? Which still hadn't been developed or released because it first came out in 2017. But no, she'd cover up her face with all of her foundation and her tinted concealer, some shit like that, right? And she'd always have to put that on before she went out because she has a skin condition, or she's very fair-skinned. Obviously, you can actually see that, but she's wearing a certain amount of makeup because there's always that much on there, and anybody who said that I wasn't wearing any makeup is clearly lying, and they're wrong, and they have no idea what they're talking about. That last line, they have no idea what they're talking about. That's what she actually said, because she always wears some makeup whenever she goes out, until the morning that she went to the LAPD in order to get the temporary restraining order against Johnny Depp. And then they showed a picture where she had something. She said it was a bruise. I don't know what it was. It didn't look anything like a bruise from a phone being flung at her. Whatever. Okay, no, yeah, but I didn't have a stitch of makeup on at that time. Huh, but you never go out anywhere before, and that you always say everything that's true. You're a hilarious person. You're a hilarious person. Yeah, but no, that's like the bruise kit that I was using at the time. And the thing that you do, if the color on your face or the color of the bruise looks like one of the colors on the wheel, you use the opposite one. Okay, you use the opposite color. And these bruise kits, they come in 4 different colors sometimes, but then they also come in 3s. So if you're trying to cover up a bruise, and if it's in a tri-section, how do you use the opposite color? Anyways, we're just bouncing around, kind of like her testimony was. She doubled down on the fact that a dog was the one who shit on the bed, right? They have a redacted photo of it right here, and yes, thanks for YouTube, we're gonna need a redacted photo. Remember, look at the size of that, right? Okay, like it's the consistency is a bit off because it's red wine and diuretics and dehydration, coke and mushrooms. Okay, it's a fucking junky shit on the bed with trail marks off after it, right? But she doubled down on the fact that it was the dog, okay? Not just any dog, a teacup Yorkie. One that, if you recall, Johnny Depp was so coked or Adderalled or opioid out of his mind that he was holding in his hand out the window. Okay, holding in his hand, and he's like a guy who's about 5 and change, right? He's about yay big, 180 pounds, soaking wet. He could hold the dog as he's fucking just binged out of his gourd. He could hold it out the window without the dog falling down out of a moving vehicle. That was the one. It shit on the bed. But the reason it shit on the bed is because it had bowel problems, right? And that's well established, even though it hasn't been documented literally anywhere. But no. What you normally do, and as somebody who has had dogs, okay, growing up, I had multiple dogs, okay? They weren't terribly large dogs or anything like that. They were always just smaller sized dogs, not teacup Yorkie sized, but toy poodles, Lhasa Apso, Shih Tzus, just little dogs of that size, right? That would be an entire day, if not multiple days worth of shit on the bed. But she was trying to say that a teacup Yorkie had bowel problems. So the way that they'd rectify this, and for the ease of the fact that it was constantly having bowel problems, they would keep it on the bed in order to make cleanup easier. Wouldn't it be easier to have pads on the floor? Oh no, right, she couldn't quite think of that and needed to come up with a convenient excuse because she's a fucking liar. Heard address the incident in February of 2016, which was amazing. I didn't think she would anyways, tried to just leave it out and just kind of sweep it under the rug. But obviously her PR team and her lawyers all congregated together and went and watched all of the coverage that was out there and realized that, oh fuck, mepoo was trending, and it's pretty catchy to say, so we better get out in front of this or on top of it and leave it in the wake. Where Depp claimed she pooped in their bed at the Los Angeles penthouse after an argument the night before her 30th birthday. Depp's chauffeur, Starlin Jenkins, yes, previously told the court that Heard told him that it was a horrible practical joke gone wrong. Heard suggested that it was one of their Yorkshire Terriers, teacup Yorkies, Boo, that did it, telling the court that the animal had eaten Johnny's weed as a puppy and had bowel control issues for life. I don't know, are you a vet and can you make that diagnosis? When has that ever been a problem before? Because apparently these dogs were traveling all the time. Like, there would be mess marks in the private jets, okay? There would be special accommodations made in order for a sick dog to travel with you. And then again, you'd also try to limit the amount of travel that these dogs would make, and you had multiple managers that were out there so they could take care of the dogs. See how much sense this doesn't make? Anyways, Heard said that Boo, and their other dog, Pistol, that was her dog. Boo is Johnny's dog, the bad dog, right? The dog that would shit in beds. Would sleep in their bed, so Boo would have to get up at night and possibly go to the bathroom on the floor. So why did he shit in the bed this time, theoretically? She said that while packing up to go away to Coachella Music Festival, Heard left Boo in the bed, which appears to have been where the feces incident occurred. And again, it's like that and she didn't notice it. Like, was she already high on red wine and magic mushrooms and MDMA, which she was so totally against? But then, yeah, she had to make some concessions earlier in the day. Heard's lawyer, Elaine Bredehoft, asked, did you commit any kind of prank? That might have been objected to. And then, what, if any, sort of practical prank did you make on your... one of your marital beds? Heard said, absolutely not. First of all, I don't think that's funny. I don't know what grown woman does. Oh, probably several. Poop is hilarious. I was not in a pranking mood. No, you were in a party mood. My life was falling apart. I was at a crossroads in my life, and I just had been attacked on my 30th birthday by my violent husband, with whom I was in love. I don't think it was funny, period. That's disgusting. And then the moment that really sealed it for me, that was an absolute lie, is when anybody unironically says period in order to accentuate a point. That is just big cap for me. Other than the fact that that's a fucking huge shit that's on the bed. What's wrong with you? But again, yeah, I'm so distraught by the situation, but I never want to think about myself as a victim or anything like that. But yeah, no, I'm on my way to driving 2 to 3 hours in order to get to a music festival where I'm going to do a bunch of illicit drugs, get really sick because I was not in a pranking mood, but you're in a party mood. Okay. And again, yeah, just size comparison there. That's apparently, is that Pistol or is that Boo? Those are the dogs that left something like that. And again, unless the dog was binging charcoal, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. All right, the fight that led up to the TRO, briefly go over this. When they saw each other on May 21st, the date before the final argument, before she filed for divorce and a restraining order. He was still obsessed with the idea that he had pooped on the, or that she had pooped on the bed. Yeah. Okay, she's the only one to attest to this. Anyways, Depp called her and said her mother had died and that he needed her. Again, that's hilarious. Recounting the phone call, Heard said it was he was going on about scientists and DNA and feces. It was some sort of scientific analysis done. Whatever. Heard said he wasn't incoherent, and he starts talking about feces again. Yeah, that's wonderful. Oh yeah, right. And then he starts accusing these random people who she was naming before, and then, you know, just started to slip in names until I.O. Tillett Wright, that's a real name for that goofy tranny friend of hers. Heard eventually got that on the phone. And Johnny would, remember, be incoherent about this. Okay, started screaming at the top of his lungs, dyke bitch, screaming expletives, telling I.O. he can have me and fuck off, screaming at him. Tosses the phone down on the couch and heads upstairs. This is where the story just becomes fucking bizarre, because apparently Johnny Depp's just apparating from upstairs, downstairs to grab the phone out of her hand, throw it at her, get back upstairs, start throwing stuff around, and then more people just show up, and then her best friend shows up, and then she's still sitting on the couch the entire time. Meanwhile, this is going on, and all this damage was occurring at the same time. None of this fucking makes sense at all. It's just, once again, also told from a third-person account, like, everything's happening around me, and I can see everything that's going on, except for the fact of, you know what, you can see everything that's going on, except for the fact that anybody's buying this, because you're just looking around the courtroom trying to find a single eye to lock with, somebody that might still believe your meandering nonsense, but you're coming up empty. Johnny hears this. He's on the stairs, turned around. Again, he's upstairs, but now he's on the stairs. Okay, came bolting down the stairs, grabbed the phone from my hand, and really started screaming. He was already yelling at the top of his lungs things like, dyke bitch, but then all of a sudden really let into I.O., calling I.O. every imaginable horrible name that you can say to, and she literally said this, LGBTQIA person, just screamed really nasty stuff. Right. Like, I'd believe Johnny probably yelled "dyke bitch" at this weirdo. Then you're leaving out other details, even though you've been so illustrative when it comes to other events as well. It just comes off as disingenuous and non-congruent. Oh, I put my hand... Oh, when he said, oh, he's done, he says he wants you to have my bitch. You take her, you can have her, pulls my arms back with the phone, throws it at my face. How far away is he? I don't know. Because, okay, he grabs the phone from her hand and starts yelling into the speakerphone, and so he couldn't be more than, like, yay far away from her. So if he winds up and throws it at her, literally his hand would be not but a foot maybe away from her face. So how hard could you throw something from that far? And he's again fucked up on something. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. He comes over to me as I'm crying, and he does this taunting thing. He says, "Oh, I hit you." Yeah, and he whacks me on the top of my head, grabs me by my hair, yanks me off the couch. Again, that whole taunting thing, the only recorded act of taunting that we've ever heard comes from Amber. So, again, she's just reliving the scenario through the eyes of Johnny, okay? And she's trying to adapt the situation to make herself the victim. She's not good at it either, okay? Heard's friend Rocky Pennington then just apparated into the situation. Don't know how she got there, all right? And came in, got between them two, and Heard told the court, Heard curled up on the couch as Depp screams at her 10 times. Again, right? Because she's back on the couch. Stayed on the couch? She's on the couch the entire time. Get the fuck up, Amber. Get the fuck up. Depp's security arrived and escorted him out. And one of Heard's friends called the police to report a domestic violence incident. Right. Sure. And again, it's funny. All of this commotion is happening. Johnny's running around with a magnum of champagne, busting the place up. And then not until Rocky Pennington shows up, okay, and says, "Get the fuck up, Amber. Get the fuck up." Just like it's Rocky 3 and he's being cheered on to go back and fucking fight Clubber Lang. It's incomprehensible that it took the security that long. Okay, the security who previously got cussed out, Travis McGivern... Was that Travis McGivern? The wizard with the long beard. He got cussed out for allowing Amber to hit Johnny and then cause some swelling on his face. It took them that long to come in and bust up the situation. That's a big old X to doubt. But hey, what do I know? I've just been watching this stuff. That's perfect encapsulation of my expression. But yeah, no, we could just go back and talk about other stuff, but this is how they start the day, and this is how I'm going to end this, because again, this is getting long, but there was so much to talk about, but then at the same time, factually, there was so little to really go on, because even at the beginning of the day, right, everybody was told, all the pertinent parties were told, okay, over the week, okay, over the 10 days that we would not be in court, don't be discussing your testimony, okay, don't be talking to your lawyers or anything like that, which is maybe just a little bit of a goofy situation where you might be violating some constitutional rights, like the right to an attorney. It might be a little bit weird, but you're not supposed to be discussing, pertinent issues of the case with anybody else. Don't be doing any research and all that kind of fun stuff, which was very obvious, even right from the outset. Like, the first thing that happened, okay? I had the date wrong, okay? Amber says the first act of violence was in 2012 and not 2013. Right. Isn't that funny, right? The first thing you come up and say, instead of the continuation of your story, is, "Oh, I'm sorry, my previous testimony, I forgot. You know what? I had a lot of time to think on it, and, it was actually earlier than that. Sorry, it was so traumatic that I remember the dirty carpet. I just couldn't remember the date," okay? Wearing a gray... Blazer's the right term for that? Johnny's wearing a gray jacket. She's dressed up like the second in command for Dr. Evil. That's going to be the thumbnail, so you guys are already going to know what I'm talking about, but that's what she looked like today. Oh, right, there's the jacket. As you can see, big buttons. She's at least wearing a skirt, so she kind of looks like a woman, but then it's better than those dude cut suits that she was wearing. Anyways, yeah, gray blazer, though. Is that a No, that's not a blazer. Blazers normally have lapels and don't look so, I don't know, Scientology-y. Heard began her testimony by saying that the first act of physical violence happened in 2012, not 2013, like previously claimed. The incident was when Depp allegedly slapped her by referring to, yes, the Wino Forever tattoo, where, yeah, she talked about the dirty carpet and my breath on the windshield. Yeah, sure, whatever. Heard said, "You never forget it." but she did. Okay, and again, that's already when I was like, we're going to be in for a day. That's how I remember it. Again, just transiently, that's how you remember things. It changes your life. Not enough to remember or even buy a fucking calendar. You never forget the time someone hits you like that. I just had the date wrong. You never forget it. It's very important. I just fucked up my internal timeline. Right. That's how she could forget the date. Heard said, I'm embarrassed to say I would have liked to have believed the period of time I had to fall in love with Johnny when he was sober and hadn't been violent lasted longer than it did. No, you just got caught in your lie, and then you had to address it first and foremost, and that's what you addressed. And then she also, of all of the things to talk about over her previous day and a half of testimony, I don't know if it gets brought up here, but it's like, okay, cool. Isn't it true that you've actually played the guitar before? She brings that up because there was a picture, and it's been circulated out there, okay, where yes, she's playing a role that required her play a guitar, and it's like, that's so inconsequential. That's also like, it would be like saying, okay, in her real life, and I'm not entirely sure if this is true or not, and this is a point that I might give her, okay, it's like, isn't it true you've never fired a gun before, but then in fact, when you were in Drive Angry, you fired a 6-barreled shotgun. And it's like, it's a fucking movie, okay? But again, somebody who's apparently so artsy-fartsy, musically inclined, loves all this eclectic jazz, and is so deeply in love with somebody who's in a very high-profile band. Wouldn't you think at some point or another you'd pick up a musical instrument? So again, I would normally let that slide, but this lady is just such a pathological liar. It's fucking hilarious. So yeah, she got literally everything wrong. She said that she reviewed her therapist's notes, calendars, and other materials, which was at least attempted to be objected to as hearsay because she's the one who's documenting all this stuff. And then there was some audio recordings towards the end of the day, or the end of the direct testimony, where she's like, I have all of this marked down, and it's going to be used against you, Johnny, if you decide to lie about the situation, if you don't call off your dogs for this full press smear campaign. Whatever, right? It's all hearsay documentation, okay? I told somebody to corroborate my story, even though they can't, provide firsthand testimony that something actually happened. And I kept the time notes of everything that I wrote down, and I had a journal that I wrote down what could only be your lies, because at this point, I don't believe anything that she says, okay? And just as bad as this direct testimony was in totality, and I'm going to go back and watch the rest of it, and then of course I'm going to be watching Cross at the end of the day, because there's going to be another full day of Cross tomorrow, and I'm going to have to do a recap on that. But the fact that her direct was so bad, and it was just so self-contradictory at every turn, and the fact that she didn't want to humanize herself even just a little bit, it's like, okay, yeah, I was also doing this stuff as well. And then if you wanted to just sneak in a couple of lies that could have been overlooked, it could have been plausible. But when you set yourself up as being just this pure, honest, virginal person, okay, the Maker's Mark bottle aside, you are just the beacon of truth, honesty, respect in the American way, okay? You're trying to be the superhero that you were, or at least are, for 10 minutes in Aquaman 2. It doesn't come across as genuine, okay? Especially coming after Johnny Depp's testimony where, yes, he admitted to having substance abuse problems. He made himself relatable to everybody that was there. And maybe she's going to try to be snippy, and maybe she's going to try to be smart like Johnny was on Cross against a very belligerent attorney, but she's going to try it, and it's not going to play well. So I don't know if it's just going to be a disaster or not, but I'm looking forward to it. So that's a wrap on the direct. I don't want anybody to forget how catastrophic and terrible it was, but there you go, a little condensed version of it. You can go back and watch it, but mostly it was just, here's the picture that you took. Okay, cool. When was this taken? Oh, the police seen it, but then at the same time, yeah, no, the police also didn't suspect that there was domestic violence, but I definitely posed in different lights for different pictures to get the best angle of a supposed bruise that was on your face in multiple locations, right? Yeah, no. And I took all of these very relevant photos of these frames and images, or rather all of this glass that was shattered. Definitely didn't plant that after the fact. You know, the police just overlooked that because I wouldn't tell them that it was Johnny Depp who did this. But then at the same time, they were acting as a defense force for Johnny Depp because everybody's against Amber Heard. This is the biggest slight that anybody has ever faced in their entire life. But remember, she doesn't want to be a victim, okay? Everything bad in life always just magically happens to her, okay? It's not a clear sign of being narcissistic, okay? Or just, making these fantastical claims. It's clearly not histrionic or anything like that. These aren't classic signs of being a borderline personality subject. No. She's clearly suffering from PTSD, even though her forensic psychologist couldn't quite detail the date or the incident that created her PTSD diagnosis. Don't worry about any of that, okay? Just listen and believe all women. Right. With all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.